There are three major doubts holding well-meaning people back from success. And if you don't overcome all three of these, the chances of your success greatly diminish. Welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Roderick Walker. This topic is so huge, I had to break it down into three separate videos because I know not just these three doubts, but in every single doubt, there's a subset of topics and how these affect us. And I want to break down and go into depth on each one of them to help us actually defeat these so the chances of your success actually go to the moon. All right. So let's start with the doubt that we're talking about today. It's change. Everyone knows someone who's scared to change. I'm scared to change. You're scared to change. That's just life. Life is about a series of changes. And if you're staying the same, chances are you're not being successful. So, but okay, that's no big deal, Roderick. Okay, you didn't really tell us nothing new. Okay, people were scared of change. But how do we defeat change? It's not just, oh, I'm scared of change. What part of change are we scared of? The first one is, do we have the ability to change? Can we actually affect change or can we not? Now, why can we not affect change? This is the one I actually want to go into. This one's dropped down to three separate little mini bosses of fear or doubt or frustrations of scarcity of any of those words that help you out the most. But the first one is, am I smart enough? This one is my go-to one that when I saw something that seemed too complicated, a little bit out of my comfort zone, I said, oh, it's not for me. I'm looking at a deal right now, which is an apartment deal, and apartments are totally different than your typical fix and flips or a single family. So looking at an apartment deal, you don't look at it in the same way. So there's a whole learning thing. And typically when it gets complicated, we go, I can't figure it out. Greatly, Alex Hormozi actually has a technique that I find absolutely amazing to solve this problem. So when you find yourself in a zone where you feel like you might not be smart enough, he says, set a timer for 20 hours and get to work on figuring it out. Chances are, by the end of the 20 hours, you would have figured it out. It says there's no deficit in learning. We just push off learning for that first hour. So if you commit to saying, hey, I'll figure it out. Now, that sounds good, Roderick, but how do we actually do that? My tactic is I do not the 20-hour rule, but something similar. I set a timer and say, turn off your phone. Turn off the television if it's not actually trying to figure out that. Actually dive deep into that actual subject. Look for mentors, look for strategies that make sense for you. So that could be a YouTube video of someone with a similar background, a similar speaking pattern, a similar things that make it easier for you. They have analogies that fit for you. And they're out there. You just have to look for them. They're not looking for you. You have to look for them. Number two, I'm just not talented enough to change things. The good one. The good one. Now, change or talented enough to affect change is one of those beliefs that dramatically hold us back because now we're believing that talented people are just at this level and we're here. And when you say someone is just talented or just gifted or just blessed, you automatically diminish yourself that you don't even have the ability to conquer that goal. So first of all, talent has what, 5% in it? And it says what? Hard work beats talent if talent doesn't work. So we can always outbeat, outpace, outrun, outdo anyone who's talented if they're not willing to do the work. So to beat this one is very simple. Figure out what works on everything. One thing I found out is everything has a framework, everything has a model, and everything has basics. And one of my favorite quotes is pros always do the basics. So I used to feel that comedians are naturally just talented in telling jokes. Then I actually bought a book and did a YouTube class and watched an actual framework of how to tell jokes. Now, they tell you how to tell jokes, and then after that, you work on a series of jokes, and then you work on a set, and then you work on a longer set. But it all has a framework, and it all has a strategy that you yourself as well can work on. So this can be accomplished, but you have to not let that doubt and fear say, I'm not talented enough. This one really hits home. So I was talking to my aunt the other day, and she sells clothes on Etsy, and she was really nervous about putting her face out there because she felt that by her being Black, the patrons wouldn't buy from her. So this goes into our next one. I'm not attractive enough to actually make the change happen. This one is the doubt that who you are, you're too old, too young, too small, not big enough, all that, not tall enough, not short enough, all that. You're saying my physical attributes don't fit what success looks like. Now, the only way you can overcome this doubt is being the one of one. Now, what does that mean? When I go back, I always like to see Danny DeVito. Prior to Danny DeVito, there was no other people who looked like Danny DeVito. And if Danny DeVito had those same ideas of, hey, I can't be an actor because I don't look like the other actors, we wouldn't have that. We wouldn't have The Rock. We wouldn't have Jet Li. We wouldn't have a whole myriad of actors that only look like them. And a lot of times, like models, you are famous or propelled because you look special. Now, you have to be the one of that if you don't see that in the industry. But we're in 2024, 2025, 2026. Chances are someone looks like you because you're not an alien. So take that out your repertoire, and then we're going with that. Tune in next week where we go into the next one. Remember, I said all three of these have to be defeated to see success. If you let any one of these push you or stifle you or slow you down, the chances of your success are greatly diminished. Now, tune in. I'll see you next week. Again, this is Roderick. Much love. Peace.